say I wouldn't do it like I won't. They say I couldn't do it and they feel. They say I wouldn't do it and I fold. They say I couldn't do it and I did. I'm a champion.
Talofa lava everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talk Your Walk, where we try and encourage people to come on and share their journeys to hopefully inspire that one person to make a positive change in their lives. Today, what a guest, man. Someone who's been through a bit of resilience and and ambition. From tearing up the rugby field to starting his own business. A guy who's needs no introduction through determination and grit. Here to share his stories about how he's turned obstacles into challenges. Keal, thank you also for coming on. Thank you for your time, man.
Cheers for having us, boys.
I guess before we move forward with the potty, chicken 3, 2, 1.
Just on top of that, what Keal was saying, massive honour to have you on, Keal. Look forward to diving into your journey and just knowing you, for a short brief of time, man. Feel inspired and encouraged, just hearing what you've done, not only on the field but off the field. But something we do at Talk Your Walk and we're trying to normalise is checking in. Just a simple act can go a long way. And, at times we usually check in surface level, just asking someone how are they and then leaving them there. So I guess, we have an acronym called FAM. F stands for family, A for activity, and M for mindset. And this just encourages, the 3, 2, 1, checking on someone, go a bit deeper. Because the more you go deeper, you realise the walls come down. And so we have a quick check-in, Keal. We want to just see, from 0 to 5, 5 being, great. How's family? Where's your rating go from there?
Sorry, Keal, could you pull your mic a little closer? That's fine, yeah.
Sorry, just some technical difficulties.
What was that? Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Did you say dictionary?
Technical difficulties.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, Keal, I do apologise in advance. This guy tends to speak Korean at times.
So from a family perspective,
Yeah.
probably about a 4.
Solid.
Yeah.
Why is it a 4?
It's just I think we've sort of as a family we're a family business as well, so I think working together and things like that, it's been a bit of a transitional year, so not just going home together, going to work together and being together all the time. I think it's took a bit of transition, but it's still pretty strong, but it's in
a good place.
in a good place,
Yeah, that's cool, man. I just probably want to touch on a little bit on that because people tend to say, there's a saying that goes, family and business that mix together, but I love what you touched on,
I think probably touch on it a bit later, but I think and that's why I set up by myself was to get my wife out of a job so we could work together and then obviously have a platform for me, for my kids leaving school to sort of join and sort of that family sort of culture and like family business really, and I think that's what we've sort of based ourselves on. And my sort of first my sort of first main goal was to get Anna out of her job and get her involved, which again people are saying whoa it'll cause you to have a divorce, but I was like it'll be all good. But like I said, it has been a bit of a transition and some days are rougher than smooth, and but it's all good.
Well done to you, man. Hats off
100%.
Hats off to you.
And obviously I'm in your environment now. I work for you. It's been 4 or 5 months, and I can I can see that in the workplace, and I think the aura that you bring with your family sets the tone, sets the environment, and it's a really welcoming environment. And hats off to you, man. And that's what you have created. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll go into A, activity, in your movement, exercise, in terms of that.
Be honest.
How are you?
To be fair, when like I said, Q has been when he come on board working with us, he's sort of got me, I've pulled me out together a little bit. December's been a bit hit and miss, but
Santa's got you a little bit.
Santa's got me, But now I think it's again touching back to business. When I played, I had to train, and I think I make an excuse. I've been stressed out with work that I'll miss the gym the day after, but then when I do go to the gym and I am active, I feel so much better. So. Yeah. But it's easy to fall into that rut when you haven't got to do it, you know what I mean? So I think like Keal's been there as well, like through stages since you sort of stopped playing. So I think it's again January. I'm back. I'm back.
We're back January.
Yeah. No excuses. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'd say 3.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's good that you touched on it. You touched on going to training, how it makes you feel. Training before you go to work is a big difference in your
Massive.
productivity and how you work. So, it's something that, like you said, needs improving, and it's good that you're making steps to that. You've put your hand up and said, it needs improving, and
100%.
you're going to do it. So, thanks for that, Els.
Yeah. I think just on that, just a takeaway or something I got through is surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I think that's probably a key to anything in life, especially with the fitness journey. So hats off to you for being vulnerable and hitting the truth there. Because I know Shanta over here, so
Don't ever touch me.
lastly, M, mindset. Where do you see yourself?
Again, it's been just touching back. I think everything, because we're a family business, it all bases back to sort of what happens at work. As an effect on my mindset, and then has an effect on the family. And it's like I think it all sort of comes together as one. So I think, as I said, it's been a challenging year. Obviously, I do a lot of reflect on what's happened and where we've done wrong. Where things have gone good, and sort of how we can improve going into sort of next year. So I think from a mindset perspective, it's been a bit of a roller coaster this year. We've had a lot of changes, activity-wise and sort of numbers-wise. We've done a lot more, but it's been a bit turbulent, if that makes sense. So I think my mindset's been a bit up and down. But again, that comes back to training.
Yeah.
When I've been training, my mindset's been better, productivity's been better. So I think it's, I think from my perspective, I just need to get a bit more consistent with things. Yeah. And again, I'm still learning. I'm learning every day. So I'm really happy where we are, sort of 3 years in. But I think having more consistency in my life will have a sort of more positive impact on my family, on my on my goals and sort of my mindset. Yeah.
So where's it at? What numbers is it at right now?
Again, probably 3.
Yeah.
Being honest. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that, man. There you go again. It's just something as simple. Appreciate you being vulnerable, but just little things like that. I know we tend to just check in and how you're doing, but if we didn't go through the acronym FAM with you, we probably wouldn't have known or got a bit deeper. So thanks again, man, for touching on some important parts.
Yeah, and that's massive, being vulnerable. So that's you showing vulnerability, and that's what we're trying to normalise, and again, thank you for that, Els, and get those sorted, like
100%.
You put your hand up, and now we're gonna put that into action.
I think it's only small changes, but that could soon be a 5. I think it's still got a smile on my face, but it's
man.
Some days are darker than others, and it's not probably a lot of it's down to me. Like I said, it's just that consistency. I think that'll sort of help me out in all aspects, really.
Yeah, nice. Now let's go into a bit of your journey, because man, what a journey it's been. And when you talk about professional rugby players ending their career, transitioning into something different, you've managed to do that. You've managed to transition and start your own business, and the numbers have done well this year. But when you started off, was rugby something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, sort of from being 5 years old.
Yeah.
My ambition was to be a rugby player. That's all I focused on. See people now, from a local area where I was sort of brought up, and they said, "Remember you when you were growing up, you had a rugby ball in your hand at all times," and that's what they sort of remember me as. That little lad who ambition to sort of play Super League, and that's I always wanted to be a pro. Yeah.
Who was your team?
Featherstone. Yeah, up the Rovers.
Oh, so you ended up
nice. So that was sort of that. Yeah, when I sort of went there, that was that. Even though I sort of played Super League and things like that, it was Fev Rovers. I think when I did that, it was sort of it'd been my granddad's dream, and it was sort of my sort of dream to always do that. Yeah.
And when was it your first professional team, Bradford?
Bradford, started at Bradford,
Were they in Super League then?
Yeah, that was sort of when they had all the Usos and that, So Champagne Happy and Leslie Vinacolo, they were all sort of playing there, and then they just went, they were sort of go-to team then, sort of thing. Yeah.
And how did that come about?
So they sort of started watching me when I was sort of 14. Sort of when district rugby and then sort of Yorkshire and then sort of England and things like that. But there's a scout called Barry Evans from Featherstone, and he's at Leeds Rhinos now. He scouts for Leeds, but he was sort of Bradford scout, and we were sort of a top team, So at Featherstone Lions, the amateur team, and Barry used to come to every game, and just sort of signed there on scholarship when I was 14, and then sort of got to 16, signed pro, and then made my debut at 17.
Oh, debut at 17.
Wow.
Wow, that would have been awesome, eh?
Yeah, we're good,
Yeah, who was that against?
Saints.
Well,
the week before, Steve McNamara got coach, and he put me on bench against Leeds, sort of Bradford Leeds derby. Them days it was massive, it was on Sky, and he put me on bench and he put me on.
Yeah.
So the camera come on to me after about 60 minutes and said, "Oh, young Keal Carlisle might come on, make a difference," and he didn't put me on. So I sat on bench for 80 minutes, and then week after we played Saints away at the old Knowsley Road, and I made my debut there.
Wow, man.
Kieran Cunningham and Roby were two hookers on their team. Yeah.
How did you take that? Obviously, it was a big thing, being named and put on the bench, but not getting, game time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at the time, probably looking back, I was a young kid when I, but I was obviously I was filthy like, but I obviously when he said I was playing week after, I'd definitely play, sort of thing. It was all good. Yeah.
And I wanna obviously that's a massive high, eh? Like living your dream to finally make your debut with Bradford, but also a lot of people don't know that's around the time you had your first child around 16, 17. Also go through I want you to touch on your granddad as well, which was a massive influence on you. So would you be able to just go through that time?
Yeah, sort of. So leading up to sort of my probably around signing for Bradford, really. As soon as I left, when I was leaving school, I had my first son, Jack, and like I said, that just sort of changed my mindset totally from being a young kid going out doing what I wanted to do to sort of thinking, I've now got a family to sort of support, So I think I wouldn't change it for the world, and sort of having kids young and things like that. I can't imagine him having a kid now, and he's only 19. But it was completely changed my mindset. And like I said, sort of around that time as well, my granddad, he was my father figure growing up, and we were sort of really close. And he was taking us training to Bradford in the academy, and we had a car crash and he passed away in the car, sort of taking me training. So I sort of, growing up, I sort of held myself accountable for that a little bit, and it was a really tough time. But when I made my debut, that was sort of icing on the cake that it was for him, because I'd have loved him to be in there to see it, but it was all he ever wanted. He sort of retired, and he just committed everything into me, and wanting me to make it pro. So sort of that all happened around the same time. Sort of an eye having Jack, and then sort of my granddad sort of passing away. But it was
It's tough, eh?
Tough time, mate. Yeah, it was tough, and like I said, I think it sort of, even to this day, I sort of look back and Alex now sort of playing. I just say he's imagine Grandad watching you, even though we never met him, Alex. But it's sort of.
I mean, when you talk about that period, what helped you? Helped you, because I know it's such a tough thing to go through, and I know Sui can kind of speak for that as well. What kind of helped you from that period?
To be fair, I could have gone one way or other. I sort of went off rails for a little bit. Held my hands up to that. Got pissed too much, and just my career at that point, 16. I've seen some players go the wrong way and not even play. Not even make it at all and stop playing. So, and it got to a stage, I think it was the pre-season following that, I come back in awful shape, and Martin Clausen, he was the conditioner clogger, and Steve McNamara got me and basically just said, we know what's going on, because they were really supportive, But in that 8 week, we had 6 or 8 weeks off after the season, and I come back and I were in a right mess. And they sort of sprayed me, and got me in, and sort of probably that was a turning point. And then I thought, and then I remember debut sort of that season, when I was 17. So it was like probably a blessing, really, that they got me in, because if they didn't, and they just let me carry on, I'd never know where I'd have ended up. I could have lost my family and everything. So, it was sort of. But like I said, it was. There's them 2 people who got me in, and then just sort of my missus Hannah. She was my rock, sort of thing through it. And then obviously, but I do it to this day. I sort of put a brave face on to everybody else, but sort of hold it all in, And then I think it's more what you guys are doing now. I think I sort of never open up, and I'll just have and like I say, it's to this day now, I'll do it. I'll hold it all in, and it could 3 or 4 months, and then just go and piss for a day, and it's I'm being honest, it's not the right way to deal with things,
Man, thanks for sharing that, because obviously you can see it was a tough time for you, but for you to talk about it could have gone one way or the other, for you to kind of see the light and dedicate your time for your granddad, is massive. And what a testament to you, because you went through that, and then also you had your child as well. So, man, you could have easily fallen down, a deep hole, but you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, that's and I'm proud of that. It's like I say, well, I was young. I was still a kid, really. It was looking back now, I'm pretty proud of how I sort of got through it. But it's. But again, I think the big thing behind it was people saying, would your granddad want you to, what would, and then that's what I sort of reverted back to.
Yeah.
He actually passed away taking me training, committing, so I need to pull myself together,
Well, it's powerful how you tapped into that. And you mentioned, the word turbulence, and what a turbulence ride that you've had, man. And like Q said, don't take it lightly. I appreciate you sharing, because it's something that I can relate to. And when you were sharing, that just hit the heart. Because my dad he passed away last year. Someone he was probably pretty much my biggest hero, cheerleader, cheer us on. And then when they pass away, it's like, man, what do you do? I love how you've sort of picked up the ball and kept running. In terms of going through and debuting, what was the mindset from there going forward? Did you have goals, ambition to obviously one day?
So that sort of made me debut. Whatever, I can't remember what month it was. It was 2007. So I made my debut, and then England 18s were touring Oz. So got picked on that tour. Toured Oz that year. We're a top team. So sort of that topped it off as well. Looking back, thinking I've gone from my career could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Sort of then getting picked on that tour following my debut. Having 6 weeks in Oz, and it's sort of then I was thinking, right, where do we go from here? So Huddersfield then come in. Bradford offered me a renewal sort of to stay, but ended up going to Huddersfield. Nathan Brown come from Oz, the coach, and he were great. Sort of, loved him to bits, and sort of he gave him a shot at Huddersfield then.
That's what I want to talk about, Huddersfield period, because that's where you had your heart valve problem. I want you to kind of talk through the game, the feeling you had, and the spray you got at halftime, and then what happens after that.
So I think this was my second. The first year I left Bradford and had a shoulder op, so the first year I sort of played a couple of games, just sort of getting back up to sort of missed the start of pre-season, and then sort of kept catching up really. So I was still 19, 20 at the time. And then sort of my second year had a good pre-season, and Brownie he picked me foot start first game. Played Warrington away at Millennium when they played at Millennium when it called it Millennium Magic. So it was like Magic weekend, but first round at season. So we played Warrington, like a gun team Warrington, and we beat them. Scored first try at game, and I was like, on top of, I felt, and then we're talking about a new deal already, sort of renewal and all this kind of stuff, decent money and stuff like that, and then the week after we played short turnaround, played Cass on Sky on the Friday night.
Yeah.
They had like Rangi and all them players. You know, our halfbacks were Kev Brown and Danny Brough. So I started at 9. And about 10 minutes in, I thought, don't feel right here.
Yeah.
And then 13 minutes in, Rangi run at me, stepped me. But I felt like I just couldn't keep up with play. It was a weird feeling. Going from sort of pre-season, round 1, on a massive high, probably one of the fittest in squad.
Yeah.
You know, winning all drills in fitness and things like that. So then just like 10 minutes into the game, just couldn't. It wasn't like I couldn't breathe. It just felt like I was gonna faint. Like I just couldn't see, blurred vision. Got behind, Rangi scores. Behind sticks, Kev Brown's absolutely spraying me. You lazy bastard, you lazy. I was like, I can't see. Yeah. So they pulled me off after 13 minutes. So it was on Sky, and I was like, I felt a bit embarrassed really, but I was like, something's not right. Like, it's not me. I just don't feel right. And then we were getting beat at half time. So obviously we beat Warrington round 1, and then Cass were dinking us at half time. So we got in sheds at Cass, and I'm sat there like just coming round a bit. Nathan Brown walks in. You fucking lazy. He's probably giving me. I'm like, I can't see. And then so obviously that was that. And then I went for they got me straight in for a checkup on the Monday. Went to Leeds, and they did all these tests, and they were like, yeah, your valves narrowed, and in your aorta valves narrowed in your heart. The specialist at Leeds said you might have to retire. So I went back training on the Tuesday, and sort of Brownie went, "I'm sorry, mate." I'm sorry,
because you didn't. Is that the
well,
first time you found out?
Nah, well, I had an underlying condition from being sort of 3 years old.
Yeah.
Which is aortic stenosis. So it's my valve are sort of slightly narrow.
Yeah.
But it was always really mild, so it never impacted my sport.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, like England and things used to do like cardi, you know, ECGs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it was always really mild, and it was never an issue. And then obviously, they just said basically all the training, and you just were under that much sort of stress. And obviously it hurts a muscle, so that valve had sort of thickened with the rest of your sort of muscles, you know, as you sort of developing. Obviously, we never know that was sort of. Yeah. So Brownie were like.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how was that to hear the news?
Well,
that you had to retire.
Yeah, it was tough. Like we just had Alex, so my second lad were born. Just got my first mortgage. So I had a lot more on my plate than probably when I was 16. When I had the anniversary with my granddad. That now I had a mortgage. I had another kid. You know, and I had nothing else. So like, shit, what do I do? Had another check-up at Leeds. They went, you need to finish. They said the only way we can operate is split your sternum. Yeah. So obviously, if they split my sternum like a general sort of person maybe would have, it'd be too weak to take impact. Yeah. So that wasn't an option. So so I got a second opinion. So RFL sent me to London to see a sports specialist, and they were like, mate, I can operate on you. Yeah. They said I can go through your rib without cracking your sternum and put your pig valve in. So like, I said, how certain are you? Like it'll be. He said 99.9% you'll be all right to play and carry on your career. So like, well, if he's telling me that, I'm gonna do it.
And that saved your career, didn't it?
Well,
give a second opinion.
Second opinion, yeah. I could have just took their word for it at Leeds, really, but they have the sports specialist, you know. So I think this guy, Professor Sharma, who I called in London, I remember his name, and he
shout out to Sharman, man.
Sharma, yeah. He I think he dealt with boxers, footballers, and all different sports. So he sort of knew what not to do, and he basically said you'll get about 10 years out of it.
10 years. That's a good story, man. The 10 years, eh?
10 years.
Because we'll touch on that, man. What a story, man. Like, you know, to make your to pretty much to start your professional career, and then to get that told to you, like, you got to retire, get a second opinion, and that's kind of saved you. You go on to play for a few teams, then
I went to Ulke straight from there. Yeah.
You spent 4 seasons there, but then you leave, come to Sheffield, because that's where I met you. Yeah. Was it middle of the year?
Yeah. So I did 2 years off the back of the art thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second year of that, sort of the first year was a transitional year again, sort of getting back to speed because
Yeah.
I'd had the operation, so
Yeah.
they sort of took a chance, and the first year played a couple of games again, and the second year sort of had I think I played the majority of the season and had a really good season and signed a 2-year extension.
Yeah.
And then the third year did all right, and then sort of the fourth year, the coach got sacked, and then Chris Chester come in. Me
Yeah.
and Chesney were really good mates. We've travelled together, but then he got the head coach's role. And looking back now, I can see why he did it. I think Sean Lunt come available from Huddersfield, and then they got him in sort of round 2 or 3, I think it was. So I thought, I'm not young anymore. I maybe only got 10 years out of my valve, and I've got 5 years to go. So.
Yeah.
I said I want to be playing, so that's obviously when I just asked for a release, and I think it was halfway through 2015.
Yeah. And is that when you started looking into the mortgage and protection?
Yeah. So, sort of from the art thing, when I was sort of 20, my mindset sort of changed. It was like I need to get something else in place, because I don't think probably these days the rugby league push it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But back then it was like you didn't have to go to college or get something in place, or they didn't really push, and it was like everything was sort of focused around being on the field or training, you know what I mean? So, but in my mindset then it was like, what if, I know they've said 10 years, but what if in 4 years it comes back and something happens and I can't, I said, so sort of my mind, then when I left Ulkey I went sort of part-time as such at Sheffield. That's when I thought, right, I need to get something, and then luckily Chris Tudor, one of my good friends, and he's got his own business doing what we do, just rung me. He sorted my mortgages out in the past, and he basically said, I know you've gone to Sheffield, he said, you've referred quite a few people to us over the years, would you fancy, jumping on board with us, So I said, well, I'll give it a shot, so, but like I said, it was a blessing really that, Chris called me, because I'd have never sort of thought I'd have done this job or got into that sort of role,
And that's massive, like, and we try to encourage kids who are playing rugby, who want to pursue the professional rugby side, who are playing professional, to find something on the side, because like you said, you just never know what's going to happen there, and luckily Chris Tudor, he gave you the call and kind of put you in the right direction.
Oh, he did, yeah. Like I said, and I'm forever grateful to Chris and his dad, for doing that, because I probably wouldn't be where I am today,
Yeah. And you play your 4 years. You come to Sheffield. We also go to Newcastle together, but then you go to Halifax, because the reason why I want to talk about your time at Halifax was that. Oh no, you go to Fev as well.
Sheffield, Fev,
yeah.
Newcastle, Halifax, yeah.
Because is that when the 10 years is up at Halifax?
Yeah.
Because that's when you retire, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was start of COVID. Again, did all pre-season. Felt all right. Probably not as, to be honest, committed as I used to be. So didn't go back in the best shape to pre-season. Then sort of got up to speed towards friendlies and stuff like that. I was a 30-year-old at the time, so I sort of knew it was coming towards the back end, but I still felt good. And then I think we played All FC in a friendly. Yeah, played All FC in a friendly. Played well. Felt good. The week after round 1, I think it was, I just felt absolutely about 10 minutes in again.
Yeah.
Go against Dewsbury. I felt absolutely awful. So we're like, you just like, and it was literally 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years to, not to the day, but like 10 years to the month or whatever. I just went home, said to Miss, I says, that's me done. I said, I don't feel good.
True.
I said I felt like I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
Went for a checkup. Obviously, they sent me back to Leeds, because when I had the operation in London, they sent me back to Leeds.
Yeah.
So they had all my sort of,
Yeah.
and they basically said, yeah, you're right. They said, you know your own body now, because your valve's actually narrowed slightly again. Not as bad as, it doesn't need anything doing to it to live a normal life or to keep fit, but when you're playing and your heart rate's staying at max, you can't sustain it, or you're putting it under that much pressure. That's why you're feeling dizzy.
Yeah.
So I just went, that's it. Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years, eh?
Yeah, but like they said, the 10 years, it was like, it was literally 10 years.
It's tough to you, man, to actually make it, 10 years, especially what you've sort of been through, eh?
Yeah. I think I was thinking driving in this morning, like, obviously I do a lot, like I said to you before, I do a lot of reflection, like, so, like, reflecting back on work, or I always think, like, what if I didn't have that problem when I was 19 or 20, or just feel, because, probably being honest with myself, I don't think I ever got to where I was before, like fitness-wise, and I don't know, or what a mindset where I thought I can't push it that much as I did before. Do you know what I mean? So I always think, what if it never happened? Where would my career gone? Even though I'm so proud of what I did following that, I just think, what if it
I
just
could have been playing for England, eh?
Yeah, well, that's being
honest, like, because you talk about how hard you train and where you got yourself. Man.
It's just what if, like, that's, and I think it all the time. But I know you can't think like that in some respects. But so some days I think it's where would my career gone? But it's
how was it when you went home, told Hannah, I think I'm done now? How was that feeling?
Remember
how was the transition?
We drove home from Leeds and we went to Nando's at Escape.
Yeah.
And just sat there, I was a bit in shock. Like, I had my head around it, and it was because I was sort of forced into doing it and making my own decision.
Yeah.
So I knew it was for the right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, I don't know. It was. I was in a bit of shock, but.
Were you content?
I was all right. Yeah. I was content. I knew I'd got me 10 years out of it.
Yeah.
I had my family, and I just looked. I thought, it's not worth it. I'm going to put my focus into something else, and that's when I sort of, from that day, started planning on setting my own business up.
Yeah, and then how long after then you started your own business?
So retired March 20, then COVID kicked in.
Yeah,
literally. So I think that helped my transition as well, because 2 weeks later everything stopped.
Yeah.
So all my pals had stopped playing, and obviously that all. Sort of the season sort of went to an halt a little bit when when lockdown happened. So again, that probably happened a bad time for everybody, but the right time for sort of my transition, because throughout that period then I sort of started planning. So retired in March 20, and then obviously I was working for Chris, and I think I sort of started getting the ball rolling sort of the year after, but I sort of in my mindset I was thinking, what do I need to do to get to that stage, and sort of we sort of launched in October 21, so like a year and a half later.
Because that even talk about timing.
Yeah, well.
Because I remember during COVID we went through it, and it was the opposite. We got put on furlough, and being full time at the time, it was a struggle. We had obviously a mortgage back home, had other bills going in, but we weren't paying So in terms of your timing, man, it gave you time to study and pursue what was next there.
Definitely,
It's off to you, man.
I want you to talk about the business, because being involved in it, seeing what you do, seeing how successful it is right now. Like, talk about that journey and talk about what you do as well, because I feel like it's important.
So we're just we're a mortgage and insurance sort of company. So obviously deal with clients' mortgages, get helping them if it's a remortgage, buy the first home, move house, and then from an insurance perspective, which obviously you do, it's life insurance, critical illness, income cover, and all that kind of stuff. So we do more things, but they're sort of as bread and butter. And it's I think the rugby, my network that I built doing that and playing, and the following we sort of got around the local, obviously it's massive round here, rugby, so I think the sort of following you get doing that, it does help the transition, if it's Talkie Walk, if it's Carlisle Financial, or if it's a restaurant you open. I think the relationships you build and the network you build in sport, I think it sort of sets you on the right. Obviously there's a lot of hard work to do, but I think it does set you on the right path if you sort of if you do it right. So it's but I think from a sort of from day one, when October 21, again, like I said, my initial goal was to get Anna out of her job, because we wanted to work together, and sort of did that within the first 6 months. Sort of built a base, and then sort of things that I didn't plan to recruit a team. Like, I'd be happy with me and my missus doing it. And then there were more people asking for the opportunity because they could see we're doing all right, and and then that's when I sort of thought, right, well, I couldn't think of anything better than having 10 people all together that, and everybody doing well, and that makes me feel better than me being a millionaire and earning absolute fortune. I'd rather 10 of us be all working together as a team, having a laugh, but doing all right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So putting my sort of time and effort into that, and I get a lot out of that.
No, that's massive, because it's a massive team environment. Like, and the way you work, you wouldn't think you're a boss there. Honestly, you wouldn't think coming into the office you're the gaffer, because
I'm soft.
It's just the way, just the way you don't really manage, but the way you help with everyone at work. You helped me a lot, and like, I got into it after my heart attack. I knew the importance of having critical illness insurance, because if you're off work for a number of months, like money stops coming in.
Of course it does.
And to have that payment, if you're insured, helps you massively financially, because you're dealing with the hardships of having the heart attack, all that stuff, but at least it takes the financial strain out, and that's it's massive for me, and for what you do.
Yeah, and I think going with our story, it's massive, and I think going back to my story, because I had the underlying condition, I could never get critical illness, so I think when you got a story to tell, I think it helps. Do you know what I mean? So I think, and it's real life. It's real life stuff we're talking about here. So it's like, we're not trying to get money out of you for nothing. It's it's really, it happens. And we've seen it with our own eyes, and we've helped people sort of.
So many stories out there.
So many stories. Yeah.
It's off to you guys, man. I've been blessed to be invited to your workplace and come in and seeing you working hard, and seeing Keal. I don't know what he's been doing. I think he's been playing solitaire in the corner.
He's had peace on.
But
these guys are hating on that.
just going into that though, with your playing career, do you feel like being in that culture, where winning's a must? Do you feel like that's helped you massively into, being able to transfer that into business?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's me personally, and I think the people we've had involved. It's we've got like a board. Nobody sees the board. It's just for us. But the board, you write your figures on there, and it's like a bit of banter at the same time. But I'm winning that board every month. Like that. That's what I think. And it's sort of I want Keal to try and chase me.
Yeah.
And be better, because then if he takes over me, I'll try and get him back. And I think it's that sort of winning mentality that I think in any successful business, or to be successful, I think you need to have that sort of winning mentality, and it's that's from a company perspective and from a personal level as well. And I think it's it's just setting the goals and raising the bar every time, and that's what we're sort of looking to do.
Well, that's important. I appreciate you sharing that, because I feel like there's healthy competition, where sometimes people can see it the other way and goes, it's me against you, but you raising the bar, you setting the the lead example, everyone else around you is gonna win, and you probably just go about standards and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's and again, like, just touching what Keal said to before, like, from being the gaffer or whatever you want to say I am, but I don't see myself as that. I just want to help everybody succeed and be better, and get better at the job, and basically, help more people. So I think it's, and that's what I probably struggle with, the management side of it. Yeah. Because I'm still learning, and I'm only 34. So it's like, I think every year, next year, I think Keal coming on board, he'll probably help me with that as well. Being a bit more tough and making them tougher decisions rather than taking the easy option sometimes. Which, reflecting back on 24. I've probably done that too much, and it's affected me. Like I said, it's been a bit of a roller coaster year, and that's affected everything. It's affected my sort of mentality, and it's affected the family and my activity. So I think it's sort of reverting back to that. I think if I can be a little bit better on that front, I think that's a big sort of block that I need to sort of improve myself. No,
thanks for sharing that. Because we always look at life like a game of rugby. So, and this is Sui's analogy I'm stealing off him. So, like, whatever's happened from now before is your first half, right now is your half time. It's a moment to reflect, to decide what are you going to learn from the first half, what are you going to take from the first half to your second half. It's been like 3 years now. What's kind of looking back and reflecting on your first half of your business, your life, that you've learned that you can take into the second half and that you're going to try and make work on?
I think again I touched on it before. I think like a consistency aspect. I think just being consistent with everything in my life, from my training, to some days like I'll be up here, but then some days my mood will be down here. But I think being on a level playing field at all times will make me be more up there. If that makes sense, rather than being up and down. And I'm probably, I think it's I reckon consistency in my life. I think that's throughout everything.
Yep.
I think that'll help me get to the sort of next level.
Yeah. And just before we finish, obviously you're a professional rugby player. Throughout your life, you got a son who's coming through the grades, who's just signed for Wigan scholarship. We've seen him play. Yeah. He looks the goods, eh? Do you think going through what you went through and then being able to advise him on his journey has been massive?
Yeah, I'd like to think so, even though he don't listen to me half the time, because he'd listen to you, but and I get frustrated with that sometimes. But I had a conversation yesterday with him, start doing extras, and then 10 minutes later he went kicking, and but it shouldn't take me to have a word with him about it. He should want to do it from within, and I think that'll come with sort of as he grows up. But yeah, I'd like to think that I'm a good role model for him. But again, it's I just look back at me now where I am. I've got the flexibility to take him to Wigan, which I'm grateful for. It's a big commitment to us as a family, doing it around work and around having other kids and my missus. And but yeah, I'm excited for the future with him. He's got some talent, but like I said, he's got plenty of hard work to do. And I just hope that I can sort of be my granddad's figure to him, and help him get to playing on the big stage one day. Yeah.
No, it's good because we all got sons who are trying to reach the top of playing rugby. My son's 21, 16, 14, so they're 15. They're all at different stages, and I was similar to Phoenix at that age, and it's about persevering with that, because like you said, there's going to be a time where they're going to do extras themselves, but right now at that age you need to keep pushing them, because all they want to do is go with their friends and that. But I guess it's making them understand that their journey is different to their friends' journey. They're trying to reach the top of their game, where at his age his friends want to go out and maybe party. Keep persevering with that, because eventually it will come, because he's got a massive future, man.
Hopefully.
I've played with him at touch as well, eh?
He stepped you, eh?
No. He did actually. That was contact. No, but it's important what you shared, because I'm going through the same journey as well, and I've had this chat with my son. He's at St Helens as well, 16, going through academy, and I think it's important we have those chats. I mentioned FOMO, acronym, fear of missing out, because it's important we understand, we've all played the highest level. There's a difference, when you become a professional athlete and you choose this path. You can't do the same as everyone else, just doing that work in life. Like, you actually have to sacrifice. You have to be disciplined. There's another mindset to it,
Of course it is, yeah.
And I had to just remind him, look, you're on the right path. That path of resistance is where you want to go. But it's just remind him, that FOMO is going to kick in, because it happened to me as well. Like, man, you see your mates partying, but these are the things that you have to sacrifice as a professional athlete.
Yeah, 100%.
I think at that age you can see where you want to be, but you're there now, and there's a lot of stuff in between it to actually get to that. The ambition is that. But I think it's it's a big learning curve for him, and I think it's just part of growing up as well, isn't it? But I think if we can sort of support him as much, as probably a lot of people got supported. I think that's the.
And I think the other big thing is making sure they don't feel entitled, because they've signed for a big club, Wigan, St Helens, you get the feeling of entitlement. I've signed a big club, I've signed a contract, now I should be playing, you know, because that's what I went through. And making sure that doesn't sneak in, and keep, you know, working on the stuff you need to work on, keep the hard work, because, you know, it's going to come, success will come.
I had that conversation yesterday with him. You know, I said some kids will dream of being signed for Wigan. You know, I said you've got a massive opportunity. Don't you know? Like, I just had to give him that little kick because he's had a week off at Christmas. Santa's got him like me. But I was like, you know, I said, you know, some kids would dream of it. I said, they'd lose a bloody
100%.
arm or leg to sign for them and have that opportunity. So I said, you need to sort of pull your act together a bit. But he's only had a week off, but I just think it's I've just been on him and ready. You know, we haven't been too hard. I think it's we've been there and done it, so I think it's just that support that, because we care really, isn't it?
100%, man.
Those are, like, when I looking back, when you mentioned that, man, those are the wins, like, especially for someone that doesn't have all the talent or, you know, the gift. When you're chasing, that's the time to get ahead. Yeah, because everyone, or most, you know, majority of rugby players, you know, put the handbrake on and invite Santa, you know, and but those are for me. I remember when you mentioned that. That's the time when, you know, you got to hustle and get even further or closer to, you know, your end goal. So it's cool you touched on that and you're able to have that conversation.
No, man, thank you for coming on. You know, I'm sure you sharing your journey will help a lot of people out there that are listening, and that's the goal when we do, you know, our podcast. And man, your journey, man, what a journey it's been. Resilience, being ambitious, being ambitious, being ambitious, and ambitious. Ambitious.
You know, sometimes
being ambitious, and then following through. You know, with that, and every year you just, you know, go to another level, and I'm sure 2025 is going to be another year. We're calling it the year of the harvest. So, man, it's a big year for all of us, eh? Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, so, thanks for coming on, Wilson. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate sharing, man, and being vulnerable as well. You know, the listeners will be blessed by, you know, your journey. You definitely blessed us.
Yeah.
Thanks again, man.
Ambitions.
Ambitions.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, man.